Hello, my name is Veronica, and welcome to the Learning Lab, episode number 122. A little bit of what's old is going to be new again. Come on into the lab and let's get started. I don't know about you, but this is like a breath of fresh air to me. These colors are just vibrant, they're vivid, they're fun, they're playful, and I want to show you how I accomplish getting this beautiful texture on all three panels. As you can see, there's some here in the center and on the far side. Here's another one. Love that. And as you can see, I went ahead and matted this shape onto some black cardstock. So let's get started with how I got to here. Now to get started creating this fantastic embossed piece and to have it on all three layers, you need to select some coordinating papers. And with everything that's out on the market now, that shouldn't be a problem. I've gone to one of my faves, which is Basic Gray, and pulled out some of the papers from their Green at Heart collection. These papers do happen to be single-sided, but if you use a piece that's double-sided, generally the flip side of that piece is a perfect match for coordinating all of the sheets. So just pull out something that you think will work and go from there. And for me, on this one, I think I do want a little bit of solid, just like I had some solid play on this green. So I'm going to go with these three combinations. And next, I'm bringing in my paper cutter. And this happens to be one of the brands I love, which is from Tonic Studios. And it really doesn't matter which way you're going on the grain of this, but if you don't want to use it all and you want to save some, then you want to make sure what's left is going to give you a nice crisp bowl. So you would want to cut it the opposite way. And so for me, I'm going to go this way. And all of these pieces are going to be cut at 4 inches, which means I'm going to bring my paper down to have it line up at the 8-inch mark. And everything over here is now going to be 4 by 6. So bringing this in again, I'm just cutting that in half to 6. And I have all of these, and I'll trim that off later. So let's just focus on these pieces. You can cut them however you want. Oh, look at that. I had a piece of orange sneak in, but that's okay. I can still use it. Next, you're going to take a selection of embossing folders and encase your paper on the inside. And down here, it really doesn't matter a whole lot that is sticking out, because it might either get cut off or just make it part of the design. I wouldn't worry that part too much. So you're going to put those through your choice of embossing machines. And once you do that, you've got your beautiful embossed images. So now it's time to do a bit of cutting. And I'm going to bring back in my large Tonic trimmer. So with this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and cut all 4 of these. Yeah, I'll do all 4. And you can vary how wide you cut it. So let's say here I'll just cut 1 inch. So this now leaves me at 5. I can take it down to 4 and I can take it down to 3.5, and that's going to leave me with a bigger chunk. Okay, let's put the handle down for a second. Now, I can take this down to maybe 3.5, but that's going to leave me with a pretty big chunk of paper. So since this is 5, I could do 2.5, but that's, kind of cheating to me. So how about if I do 2 3/4? And so that's going to leave me enough to play around with when I deal them out. Now I pre-cut some 4 by 6 pieces of paper because I didn't want to have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out what worked. So the only thing I need to do now is just lay my paper out and see what comes rolling off. Okay, I like the look of that, and I just dealt them out on the top. And here, I think I'll just put these 2 green pieces on here, and this is the one that we'll play around with. So these go away. Now, my son told me earlier that I should have said what materials you would need to put this together. So if you were working with me, you could play right along with me. And I told him, you know what, that would be great, except sometimes even I don't know what I need. But I do know that you're going to need some repositionable tape. I don't have mine handy, so I'm using some blue painter's tape that I've already cut down. And I'm just going to put this on the back like that. And this piece will just butt right up against it. Put another piece. And here we go. So now I have my piece reassembled. Now this goes back through the Cuttlebug again, except this time I want to use one of my shapes to cut it out. I will admit that I tried using some of the very intricate dies and I was not successful at all. So what I had to do was go back to these that are tried and true. That would work. I think this is Labels 8. The curved one I really love. And I think this might be Labels 10, which I love that also. If you don't want to do something this long, you can do a circle. If you're going to do a circle, I would recommend cutting your paper differently so that you can maximize it. This circle, I think, measures 4 inches across. Yes, and that's through the cut. So I would cut my paper maybe and make my final piece 4 1/4 just so I can get everything on here. But for mine, I'm going to stick with this one because I happen to love it. And put this on. And also, if you're afraid or if you want, you can hold this down with some low-tack tape. All right, because I did not tape mine down, I did get a little messy edge down there, but that's okay because once I turn it into a card, I can cover that up. So now I have 2 panels. And these 2 sides happen to be the same pattern, but the one on the center is different. And what you can do to give a cohesive look is take one color and go over it, and it's going to bring out all of the colors on there. And so the color that I'm going to use on here, I think I'm going to go with Vintage Photo, if I have it out, from Tim Holtz. And for this, I'm going to use my brayer. And I don't need a whole lot of ink on here. And I'm going to roll some off just to see what I've got going. And from here, so what this has done is given me a nice start to a masculine card. It's picked up the embossing on the green piece, and it's also picked up the embossing on the center piece. So can you just imagine this layered with all those pieces, and you bring it together with one cohesive color? I like it. Okay, back to what I did with some of mine. This one I have not brayered over, but each panel contains a different embossing folder, and I very well could do that in, let's say, a yellow or a soft green, and that will just make for a beautiful card. And that's what I matted onto the back of my piece. So I'm going to sit this down, and there is a card front waiting to be decorated. Now, once upon a time, I had stamped a lot of animal motifs I picked up out of a barrel from Joann's, and even if I just put this on here with a sentiment, I think it would be lovely. I love these seashells, and I already have some of those done. Just pop them up on foam dots, and I would put them back inside the Spellbinder die and just gently ink around those edges. But I think some of these on the front, off to the side, and then a sentiment would be stunning. So I did a few of my cards like this. I also did this one. And so this one, because it's not going to stand up, it naturally wants to go on the side. So why fight it? Just put it on the side, design the card that way, come in with a beautiful shark on there with a greeting. Fantastic. I did the same thing with this one, and it opens this way. And you could also very well do a side card where it would open that way, and again you have those decorating possibilities. And this one I love. It's just so cute and simplistic in nature. Again, with a simple little greeting, you can't go wrong on that. So if you decide to use these on a scrapbook page, turn them into a greeting card, however you plan to use it, I just think combining those different embossings on the pieces of paper is what gives this some style and panache. Go over this with a unifying color using a soft hand or a heavy hand, however you want to do it, and you're going to end up with some really stunning cards. And here's how I got that huge variety of cards. As you can see, one 12 by 12 piece is going to yield me 6 4 by 6 cards. So then if I do 3 of these, that means I can walk away with 18 cards, completely color coordinated, completely done, embellished, ready to go with minimal work. So think about that when you're crafting. How can I make the most of my time? Because those of you who know me know that I'm all about working smarter, not so much harder. But how can I maximize my time? Walk away with something that's going to be as stunning as this with as little effort as possible. It's going to look like I spent a lot of time doing it. Simple. Take some of those papers already coordinated for you, do them up, and you're going to walk away with something fantastic. Again, thank you for joining me in the lab. Please remember to check out my blog at inkollusions.blogspot.com. Until then.